Hey, Josh here again, and I am back with a review of the British TV miniseries Dead Set. This is a zombie horror series, and before you tune out, this is something that, as much as I often say this, truly comes with one of my highest recommendations. I really don't like TV shows in general. I can't stand the elongated nature of them in general. But miniseries I am quite fond of. It gives you enough time to spread things out, give it a little more breadth to the proceedings, but at the same time, it's still got that sense of brevity to it that movies contain. A good mix, and if they have a good budget, they can turn out very well, if there's talent behind them. And there is talent behind this. Although there is no incredibly recognizable actors, director's not really recognizable, this is a fantastic series. I would definitely put it up there with the likes of 28 Days Later, not in terms of the reinvention of the genre, but just in terms of sheer quality. For what this is absolutely awesome. I was watching this. You can watch the first episode on Mega Video. I'm not going to put a link to it here, but unfortunately it's about the only place you can watch it outside of Torrent, perhaps, which I haven't tried, but the audio is slightly off, but again, it's something you have to get used to. And, I know most people avoid things with really bad audio, and I usually do too, but about 20 minutes into the first episode, 25 minutes, give it 25 minutes. Just on my word, give it 25 minutes, watch it, and if you don't like it by then, after the initial sequence, you're not going to like the series. But even then, I would say advise you to stick around, because this is really fantastic. It's really well done. Like I said, it doesn't reinvent the genre, but it's really great. Starting off, the plot is basically, it is playing out in Britain with a new series of Big Brother, and they're just on an eviction night, and a zombie apocalypse breaks out, basically, and it's never really explained why. It's not the point. A zombie apocalypse is a pretty conclusive thing. You really don't need much reason for it in this case, especially so because the residents of the Big Brother house are completely separated from the society that's been taken over by this, and are unaware of any damages that have gone on. Now, of course, they find out due to one of the crew members in the Big Brother studios getting into the house and warning them, and they have to go from there. But it sounds like a simple story, and yes, it is, but much like in terms of sheer quality, this is just, it really drives you along for it. It doesn't need to be a complex plot to be good. A lot of people, they overestimate this factor themselves, and I don't think it's really necessary. Anyway, the acting is quite good. I would put it as enthusiastic. I mean, some of the acting doesn't work. I thought Claire's boss played out for a lot of black humor and gross-out humor. Didn't really look or work all that well, and right near the end, people who've watched the series know what I'm talking about, I thought it got completely ridiculous, and he was still talking, and you're like, I don't understand how he can maintain that attitude, but that's besides the point. The characters, for the most part, were quite well acted. I really enjoyed, actually, the Big Brother cast, because they consisted of the general stereotypes you would find in a Big Brother, actually. You got, like, the sassy black woman, you got the tough guy, you got the gay dude, and it's like, you got the hot girl, and, like I said, they're stereotypes, but put in a zombie apocalypse situation, which is really funny in and of itself. The main actor, Claire, I thought actually generally showed some good character progress, really good development on her part throughout the course of the series, as well as her boyfriend and his tag-along that he finds is generally actually my favorite bits of the show. Anyway, like I said, I won't dwell on the plot too much because there really isn't a whole lot to say on it, other than that it is very entertaining in its own right, and you can't really go wrong with this series in terms of that. But, of course, every zombie movie needs some kind of action behind it. I don't care what zombie movie you are, you need something. And in this respect, Dead Set delivers. It doesn't have an immense amount of action due to the budget, and also largely because it's centralized around this one area. But when the action does come up, and there is at least a couple bouts of action per episode, so you don't have to worry about it being slow, the action is well done. It's actually genuinely frightening at times, especially near the end, where things are so dark and the outlook is so bleak. And as well, the effects for this series, I just wanted to go on along the same lines of the action, because it plays right into it for a lot of horror movies, is the gore. Now, I'm not a massive fan of gore in of itself, though ironically I do like ultra-violence, but I don't like gore for gore's sake in a horror movie such as this, especially torture porn. I just can't get into. But I thought the gore for this was surprisingly well done. It was over the top, don't get me wrong, but I thought it was handled very well, and even though it was incredibly gruesome, it seemed gruesome in a realistic way. You didn't want to laugh at any point, and you weren't overly sickened at any point, which I thought struck a really nice balance there. Regards to the music, there's really not a whole lot to say because there isn't a whole lot of music. Mostly background atmospheric music, which does its job well. Outside of, I just wanted to mention one key example is the initial zombie outbreak in the first episode near the 20-minute mark, where the zombies are breaking in. There's a song playing in the background. I'm not going to spoil what it is, but it's absolutely hilarious juxtaposition of it. And I think anyone that likes horror movies at all is just going to love that bit. And you know, that's just generally what I have to say about the series in its totality. If you like zombie movies, if you like horror movies, I'm not going to say if you don't like horror movies, you're not going to like this. But if you are a horror fan, this is definitely something that you need to see. It's it's being released in numerous other countries. I think it's won a couple awards, and you know what, rightfully and deservedly so, because it's a really, really great miniseries. I'd put it up there with The Lost Room as far as intriguing, and you really wish there'd be more, but you don't want there to be more at the same time. And, so yeah, speaking of, if you haven't seen The Lost Room, go see it too. But anyway, I just want to reiterate, dead set, the plot, while nothing revolutionary, is competent and very well handled. Characters, amusing stereotypes put in the situations, have great character development thereon. The action, surprisingly good for a miniseries, and quite detailed effects with the gore, and the music serves its purpose, not too many standouts. Overall, like I said, if you like horror movies, this is definitely one to check out. It's all on Mega Video, and while the sound is off, it is still worth watching. That is saying something about the quality of the show. This is one of the surprise hits that I've heard about alongside Rec, and just like Rec, this is something all horror fans need to seek out.